Hello again, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Three Bridges. I'm updating my loft layout. So at the end of the last one, where I was doing the scratch building around Harrow Hill, I talked briefly about the back section behind the station, the sort of bridges across from the main station building and Station Road Bridge. And there are a couple of things I wanted to do on the backdrop. So that back scene sort of splits into two halves. One's an area of trees, which will be here, so over this section here, and then along the rest of it is going to be an old sort of 70s prefab building. In order to give the building and the tree something to sit on, I basically need to hide where my east coast west coast lines run along the back of the scene. So I've created this sort of very lightweight bridge structure, or tunnel structure I suppose, out of cards. So I've got the usual, for the main board I've got the double skin with some slots just to give it some strength, and then effectively there's good clearance so that my trains can run through there quite happily without being seen. And then I've got some of the dark blue brick along it. This section here has the posters, and that's a backdrop from the platform 6 anyway, so you'll see that later on when it's up in the loft. And then this area I've sort of got a slight incline on the wall and to put some abutments in just to give it something a bit more interesting to look at. Anyway, for the rest of this one I'm going to focus on building the I suppose offices building that's going to go here. So I'm just going to completely freehand this one. So I've got a rough sketch taken from an image, which I can't show you because I don't have the rights to show it. And I'll base the building on that. Effectively, it's a two-story building. It's got these sort of large brick structures. There's 3 of them. That sort of, I suppose, this support the prefab bit that sits in the middle, which is just all mainly glazed. So it's fairly simple to build. 2 levels, one sort of slightly set back, and it sort of have that 70s feel about it. So at the moment I've to make up these thicker sections, so they're 6mm thick, of just 2 skins of 1mm card to the size I need, and then I've got a couple of layers of 2mm card just to thicken it out, so that'll give the nice brick solid bits of the building. Think of a brick cover to cover those in. And then for the layers, it's the main part of the building is just 2 sheets of 2mm card. There's a little bit of a I think that was 5mm high. That just gives a sort of more solid structure across as you look at it, and they'll sort of sit staggered on top of each other between these bits. See if I can try and mock it up. So that's one half of the building. So it's slightly smaller than 00 scale because it's at the back. I just want to have it a little bit of a shrunken perspective, but effectively there's it looks okay. And then this is obviously the ground. There'll be glazing up to this one, and then the second layer has some glazing at the minute, sort of inset slightly back, just to give it a bit more an architectural interest. So for the brick, on the actual image that I found, it was very close to this one actually, which is the sort of scale scenes cream brick. But this is what I built the whole of Harrow Hill out of, so I want a bit of contrast, and I don't have to stick rigidly, so I'm going to go with, which one's this, the scale scenes. I can't remember this one if it's light brown. The tower block is very orangey, so, and it is in real life, so the 3 should contrast quite nicely. So we'll make these up. Okay, so I'm sort of channeling my inner architect or model maker skills. I think if I'd had my life over again, something like that would have been more interesting. And watching the Otter Creek and Rio Grande, which is always fascinating because the scenery is so different to what we have in the UK. So what I've done is I've put a couple of card strips to support the floors, and I can now brick up the end struts, and then I can think about the glazing. So the glazing is also going to need, because it's quite a long sheet there, so I'll put a couple of card supports behind the glazing just to stop it bowing. something that might look, but because effectively there's nothing to brace it at the moment, it's a bit like a table. I need to put a couple of bracing struts in, I think, just to keep everything at right angles. So just a brief update, I finished the building. There was one change I made. So originally I was going to have a perspex window in front of the glazing here. So I put the perspex back so you can see that if you catch the light, it's quite sort of reflective. So I decided I would just use the gloss of the matte varnish to just create that window sheen. So this is the view I get with that building in the backdrop there next to the office tower block. Just wondering if I should raise the office tower block up a little bit higher. I may try that. But I'm really happy with how it's sitting, and it sort of feels like the right sort of architecture for that sort of early 80s period when I was travelling through the station a lot. So the next bit is to work on the further along the scene, so I'll just change the view. So it's going to be this section here. So at Harrow Hill it's all trees beyond the block between basically the end of this building and then the end of Station Road Bridge. So I will create a little bit of an embankment, so I've got something for my trees to root into. But just to give you a rough idea of how it should look. Obviously I need a lot more, but yeah, I'm sort of happy with the way it's looking. So if you followed it this far, as always, thanks a lot. I do appreciate it. I'm really liking the way this whole sort of Harrow on the Hill scene is coming together now, right from the front to the back. So I'll do a couple more shots so you can sort of see the new building and how it sits with the rest of the station.